Okay, so hello Akbar, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Guys, let's continue our topic now. So we are trying to focus on NAT policy configuration. Wait, NAT policy and access policy configuration. So these two topics we are trying to cover today and we can do tomorrow. So uh, we have same topology. You can see one firepower device, 0/0 interface we are using for WAN side network, and 0/1 I'm using for LAN side network. Let's verify our configuration again. So 0/0 interface, on 0/0 interface we are using DSCP method for IP address configuration, and on 0/1 we are using static IP. You can see guys, we are using static IP 200 network 200.200.200.1. Now we can check our policies here. Wait, let's check our policy. So we have access policy rule one, only one policy. Remember our policy discussion, everyone. We will create multiple policy, okay, to allow our traffic. So if Akbar, Ahmed, we
Yes,
will
yes,
Yes,
create, okay, but
yes,
right
sir.
now
Yes.
this is our this is our policy. If you guys remember our previous session, we have a simple policy rule. Okay, if traffic is trying to travel from LAN zone to WAN zone, source network, right now source network, LAN network, okay, and trying to access any destination IP, we are trying to allow our traffic. So we have a policy rule, and as per this rule we can try to initiate our traffic. Wait, we can try to initiate our traffic from LAN machine. Wait, let's deploy this configuration. So we can go on to this LAN machine and we can try to initiate our traffic. Let's verify IP address information onto this machine. So IP config, you can verify onto this PC, onto this LAN machine. We are using 200, 200, 255. This is gateway. And let's check our DNS entry. So our DNS entry is into this topology, okay? 172.10.130.254. So in my topology, okay, in my topology, I'm using this DNS entry. In your network, maybe you are using a different DNS IP address. So DNS IP, my point is what? We have a proper IP address configuration onto this LAN machine. Proper IP address configuration. IP address, mask, gateway, DNS entry, everything is okay. So we can try to initiate our traffic from this LAN machine. Okay, let's try. So I'm trying to ping google.com, for example. I'm trying to travel through the mobile device. Before initiate this traffic, everyone, before initiate this traffic, let's verify onto this firepower. We have internet connectivity, or not onto this firepower device. Okay, let's verify first IP address and default route entry towards ISP. Okay, let's verify. Username admin I'm using here. Password capital PASS at the rate 123. Now show interface IP brief command you can type to verify IP address configuration first. So onto this 0/0 interface, you can say on WAN facing interface, everyone. I'm using 172.10.130. So public facing network 172.10.130 network. This is public facing network. Public facing network. So you can verify here we have IP address 172.10.130.211 and method is DSCP. So we are getting IP address through DSCP onto this public facing interface. IP address on LAN interface. Now we can verify a route configuration, show route. So onto this interface, I have a default, I have IP address through DSCP, and you can also verify we have a default route towards ISP. This is the ISP portion. So we have a default route towards 172.10.130.254. In my topology, everyone, it will automatically create in my topology. In real scenario, what you can do, you can configure your default entry manually towards your gateway, towards your ISP. Clear my point, Ahmed? Soeb, Akbar?
Yes,
Yes,
I
sir.
can.
In my topology, what I have a IP address on to this 0/0 interface and gateway entry, default route entry. So in case if I'm trying to verify internet connectivity, if I have, see, this portion is what? This portion is a internet portion. Okay, so if I have a default route towards internet, towards ISP, so I can try to verify my connectivity. I'm trying to ping 8.8.8.8. And you can see everyone, I'm getting reply. See, I'm getting reply. Success rate is 100%. So we have an internet connectivity onto this firepower. So if I'm trying to initiate my traffic from LAN machine, okay, from LAN PC, if I'm trying to initiate my traffic, so this traffic, for example, I'm trying to ping google.com, or you can say I'm trying to ping 8.8.8.com. So this traffic will go and hit onto this firepower, onto this L3 appliance, onto this firewall device. A firewall will check, okay, you want to go on 8.8.8, let me check my routing table. So firewall will check his routing table, and into this firewall, you can see here we have a default route for any unknown destination. Yes, you can go to ISP side. So onto this firewall, we have a default route. So if I'm trying to initiate my traffic, I have a security policy rule, I have a default route, everyone. But if I'm trying to ping 8.8.8, you can see I'm not getting reply. Ahmed, Akbar, Shoaib.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Shoaib, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm good. Yep.
Okay. So you can see, guys, I'm not getting reply. If I'm trying to initiate my traffic, if I'm trying to ping 8.8.8, traffic is not traveling. I have a firewall policy. You can verify. I have access control policy. You can go on policy. You can go on access control policy rule. You can verify here. We have a policy rule to allow our traffic. Any network, any source, any destination, action is allowed, but traffic is not traveling. Why? Because traffic is trying to travel from private network to public network.
So
And
net is not allowed. Okay.
yes, so if you want to allow your traffic from private network to public network in a real scenario, you need NAT, right, everyone? Network address translation. So we have two type of NAT. If you talk about NAT, we have two type of NAT concept. Can anyone help me for this? We
Static
have
and dynamic.
static and dynamic. Okay. In firewall, so we have two type of NAT. Okay. Source NAT
Destination net.
and destination NAT. Akbar, can you help me for source NAT and destination NAT? Akbar, can you help me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you help me for source NAT and destination?
SourceNet we use it to translate private IP to public for accessing the outside internet.
Example.
Example, like all our clients want to get internet access
Mhm.
for local network.
Okay. Inside machine is trying to travel outside,
Yes.
so we can configure source NAT, right?
Yes, sir.
In source NAT, we are translating source IP address. So, have any idea
Ye-
about destination NAT? So,
Yeah, like destination is like multiple. I mean, many to many are That's what you're asking about? I'm sorry, I did not pay
No,
attention
no
to your
problem, no
question.
problem, no problem.
Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
What was your question?
Okay, so any idea about the static net?
Yeah, one-to-one.
Okay, static. Dynamic net?
One too many.
No, many to many.
Many to many.
That
Yeah.
is what in
one to-
dynamic net you can create a range of public IP,
Right.
right?
Range of public IP. Correct.
What is PAT? Any idea about PAT?
Port, like the port base.
Port address translation, right?
Yep.
We can translate multiple private IP address with single
single
public
port.
IP, right? We can translate multiple private IP address with single public IP. It's a PAT, right? So in static NAT, in dynamic NAT, in PAT, we are translating our source IP. Okay. And whenever you are translating your source IP, it's called source NAT. Clear my point? Let's revise
Yes,
NAT.
sir.
Okay, so if Akbar,
Yep.
Ahmad,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
let's
sir.
revise
Yes.
our NAT.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here I have a L3 device. Wait, I have a router, for example, any netted device. Okay, this portion is a LAN portion, and this side is a public network side. So in LAN side network, we have multiple computers, okay, multiple PC. This portion, everyone, this portion is a private network portion, and this side is public side network. So in private network, we are using private IP address like 192.168, 10.10, 10.11, 10.12, 10.13. Okay, I'm using private IP address. So if this inside machine is trying to travel outside, if this inside machine is trying to access internet services, trying to go on public network side, it's required public IP, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Inside
sir.
machine is required public IP. Now, we need to translate. My point is what? We need to translate our private IP address into public IP. And for translation, we have translation method here. For translation, we have a translation method. So for translation, we are using NAT. NAT we are using for translation. Doesn't matter, okay? You want to translate private to private or public to public or public to private. It doesn't matter, okay? NAT we are using for translation. So this inside machine is required what? Public IP. So we need to translate this private IP address into public IP. And for translation, we have translation method. You can say translation configuration option. You can go with static NAT, or you can use dynamic NAT method, or you can go with PAT option. Let's talk about a static NAT first. Static NAT you can say, or you can say in static NAT, it's a one-to-one mapping, one-to-one. And remember always, static NAT is a bidirectional. Static NAT is a bidirectional. So in static NAT, it's called one-to-one mapping. For example, in LAN side, I have 10 computers, 10 private IP addresses. If I want to allow everyone to access internet services, I need 10 public IP. For example, 99.99.99.1.2.3 and so on, .10. If I'm using static NAT configuration, so I can create entry here onto this netted device statically, or you can say manually. For example, if this 10.10 is trying to travel outside, this machine can get this public IP address and can go outside. If 10.11 is trying to travel outside, this machine can get this public IP and can go outside. It's called one-to-one mapping, static mapping, you can say, manual entry. And remember, I told you, static NAT is what? Bidirectional. So if anyone from outside will hit onto this public IP address, your firewall or your router will redirect this traffic on 192.168.10.10. So static NAT is a bidirectional. Clear my point, Shoaib, Akbar, Ahmed,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
everyone? In case if I'm working in a small network, okay, if I have a small network, like I'm working with 5 computers, 10 computers, okay, 5 servers, 10 servers. So yes, you can go with static NAT, no problem. In a small network, you can go with static NAT. But in case if you are working in a big network, for example, you have 100 computers, okay, 200 computers, for example, 200 computers. Then we need 200 public IP. And if you want to, if you are using static NAT configuration method, so in static NAT, we need to create entries statically. We need to create entry manually onto this device. So we need to create 200 entry here statically, manually. That is the issue. That's why in big network, in big scenario, we are not using static NAT. In big network, we are working with dynamic NAT option. Dynamic option. In dynamic, what we can do? In dynamic, yes, we need 200 public IP address, but this time I'm not creating 200 entries statically manually. No. In dynamic option, what I can do? In dynamic,
Create bool.
with the help of single command, I can create a range of public IP address. We can create a pool. We can create a range of public IP address onto this device with the help of single command. I'm not creating 200 entry manually, statically, no. So this time, if anyone, for example, this 10.10 is trying to travel outside, this machine will get any IP address from this pool range and can go outside. If 10.11 is trying to travel outside, it can get any IP address from this pool range and can go outside. Clear my point, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is called dynamic. But again, we have an issue. In dynamic NAT, in a static NAT, we have an issue. For 200 machine, we need 200 public IP address. That is the issue. 200 public IP address. So that is the issue. That's why we are using PAT option. In PAT, what we can do? In PAT, we can translate multiple private IP address. Wait. Okay, so now we are using PAT option. In PAT, we can translate multiple private IP address with single public IP. For example, this is public facing interface. And onto this public facing interface, I'm using 99.99.99.100, for example. So in PAT, we can translate multiple private IP address with this single public IP. If this 10.10 is trying to travel outside, this machine will get this IP address and can go outside. If 10.11 is trying to travel outside, it can get same IP and can go outside with different source port number. For example, if this inside machine is trying to access outside this server, for example, is trying to access 8.8.8.8. Okay, so what is the packet format here? 8.8.8. So wait. Okay, so as per our task, this inside machine, what is source IP address? This inside machine 192.168.10.10, 10.10. Let's take a random port number, for example, 52,000. It's trying to access 8.8.8, right? So as per our task, 8.8.8, and destination port number, for example, is trying to access port number 443. This is actual traffic, right? So if Ahmed, Akbar,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
if this 192.168.10.10 is trying to access 8.8.8, so this traffic will go and hit onto this device. This router will create this entry first. After that, it will remove this source IP address from this packet. It will remove this source IP address. It will remove this source IP address, and this router will put this outgoing interface IP address as a source. Outgoing interface IP address as a source. .99.99.100. And now this traffic is traveling to outside. This packet is traveling to outside. If this 10.11 is trying to travel outside, he can travel with different source port number. So into this topology, everyone, into this scenario, we are translating our source IP address, right? You can see into this topology, this 192.168.10.10 is trying to access 8.8.8. So this traffic will go and hit onto this device, onto this router. Router will create entry for this traffic, and it will remove this outgoing interface. Sorry, it will remove this source IP address, and it will put this outgoing interface IP address as a source IP. And now traffic is traveling. Wait. It will put this outgoing interface IP address as a source, and now traffic is traveling. So my point is, whenever you are translating your source IP address into this topology, into the scenario, we are translating our source IP. So whenever you are translating your source IP address in any scenario, it's called source NAT. So clear for you, Akbar, Ahmed?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Whenever
sir.
you are translating your source IP address, it's called source NAT. It means this. Wait. Okay, so this static NAT, my point is this is static NAT, dynamic NAT, PAT. These are what? These are called source NAT. These are called source NAT. Whenever you are translating your source IP address, it's called source NAT. Akbar, any question?
No, sir. No.
Okay. Now,
Clear.
what about destination NAT? Where we can use destination NAT?
So
Let's
I think
talk-
if
yes.
the traffic is coming from outside.
For
Yes.
any services
Yes.
inside,
Yes.
to get any service from inside.
Yes. In destination NAT, traffic is always initiated from outside. Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about scenario, everyone. Okay, wait. Let's talk about scenario. So, have any question? So, clear for you?
I'm good. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm good.
Now, let's talk about another scenario where we can use destination NAT concept. So here we have a firewall device, for example. This is firewall device. And this portion is DMZ network. In DMZ network, I have multiple servers, you can say, like web server, 192.168.10.10. Okay, SMTP server, DNS server. DNS server IP address I'm using IP address 192.168.10.11. SMTP server 192, for example, 168.10.10.12, and this is FTP server 192.168.10.30. Okay, this portion is a public network portion, ISP side, you can say. Now into this topology, I can use PAT option. I can use PAT option. In PAT, what we can do, we can translate multiple private IP address with single public IP. So this is public facing interface, everyone, right? This is public facing interface, and here we are using 99.99.99.150. So no problem. I can use PAT here. I can translate multiple private IP address with this single public IP. Remember our PAT discussion, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
we can use PAT here, no problem. Okay. Into the scenario, traffic is initiated from LAN side. So when traffic is initiated from LAN side, you can use PAT. Perfect, no problem. You can use PAT. But now let's change scenario. Let's change our scenario. Okay, this time traffic is not initiated from LAN side. No, traffic is initiated from outside. Now scenario is changed. Traffic is initiated from outside. If this outside user, outside machine is trying to hit onto this public IP address, for example. Okay, our challenge is what? If this outside machine is trying to hit onto this public IP address, then this firewall will redirect this traffic on web server. It will redirect this traffic on web server, or it will redirect this traffic on DNS, or it is on SMTP or on FTP. Clear this challenge, my point, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If traffic is initiated from outside, so if,
Yes, sir. Good.
see, in PAT, what you can do, you can translate. If traffic is initiated from LAN side, you can use PAT. But this time traffic is coming from outside. This outside machine is trying to hit onto this public IP address. So this firewall will redirect this traffic on web server, or it will redirect on DNS, SMTP, or FTP. That is a challenge. Okay, so into the scenario, we can go with static NAT. No problem. I told you static NAT is a bidirectional. Remember, static NAT is a bidirectional, right, everyone?
Yes, sir.
I can use static NAT, no problem. I have 4 servers. Yes, I can buy 4 public IP, 99.99.151, 152, 153. For example, 154. I can buy 4 public IP. And static NAT is a bidirectional. I can go with one-to-one mapping. I have 4 servers. Yes, this 99.99.99.151 I can map with 10.10. This 152 I can map with 10.11, 153 with 10.12, 154 with 10.13. Yes, I can map. If this web server is trying to travel outside, no problem. It can get this public IP address, can go outside, or if anyone from outside will hit onto this public IP address, this traffic will redirect on web server because it's a one-to-one mapping. In case if I'm working in a small network, if I have a 1 server, 2 server, yes, you can use this concept static NAT, no problem. But in case if you have multiple servers, then okay, if you have approx 20 servers in your network, servers, I'm talking about servers. If you have 20 servers in your network, then everyone, I need to buy 20 public IP, right? Yes or no?
Yes, costly.
I need 20 public IP. If I'm using static NAT, I need to create 20 entry manually. That is the issue. If I have 20 server, if I have 25 servers, I need to buy 25 public IP. That is the issue. That's why I'm not using static NAT into the scenario. No. Okay, into the scenario, what we are using destination NAT concept. Here we can use destination NAT. So you can go with DNAT concept. We can add we can map a single public IP address with multiple servers. Yes, Ahmed. Yes. So here we have DNAT. DNAT. In DNAT, what we can do in destination NAT? See, in DNAT, we need a single public IP, everyone. For example, 99.99.99.155. Shoaib, Akbar, Ahmed.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in DNAT, we need single public IP, everyone. In PAT, we need single public IP, the same. But in PAT, we are translating. What is PAT? In PAT, we are translating multiple private IP address with single public IP. But in DNAT, yes, in DNAT, we need single public IP. But in DNAT, what we are doing in DNAT, we can map. What we can do, everyone? We can map multiple servers, not IP. I'm talking about servers. It means I'm talking about services, everyone. We can map multiple servers with single public IP. How to configure DNAT? We'll discuss in our practical, no problem. How to configure DNAT. But my point is what? In DNAT, you can map multiple servers with single public IP. Okay. So for example, DNAT is configured here. For example, now this time, if this outside machine, wait, this outside machine will hit onto this public IP address. And if this request is for port number 443, so as per your DNAT configuration, your firewall will redirect this traffic on web server. If anyone from outside will hit onto the same public IP because we have a single public IP. And if this request is for port number 53, so as per your DNAT configuration, your firewall will redirect this traffic on DNS server. If anyone from outside will hit onto the same public IP, and if this request is for port number 25, port number 21, so your firewall will redirect this traffic on SMTP and this traffic on FTP. Clear now? It means this outside machine, he can open his FTP application. In FTP application, he can put this public IP address and port number 21. So for FTP service, if anyone will hit onto this public IP address for FTP service, your firewall will redirect this traffic onto this 10.192.168.10.13 for port number 21. Clear my point?
Yes, sir.
Shoaib,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Akbar.
yes, sir, yes.
Sir,
Okay.
and in DNAT, so we have to purchase public IP address or can use only exit interface?
No, you need to buy a separate public IP.
So we cannot use
Yes,
outgoing.
separate public IP.
Cannot use the outgoing interface.
No, not required. Okay.
Okay.
In PAT, you can use your outgoing interface public IP address for translation for internal machine. Okay. But for DNAT, you need a separate public IP.
Okay.
Shoaib, any question?
Even that
Yeah,
IP no need to assign to any
Yes,
interface.
no need to assign because it's a routable. On ISP,
Yes,
it's a routable.
yes, sir, okay.
It's a routable.
But what about if the external traffic coming in to us, like to the FTD, and then you could register it once as unassigned port number? Is that the concept for the PAT? Like, for example, instead of 2153, we could provide them a single
We can
port.
see in PAT, traffic is always initiated from LAN side. So
From the external, I'm talking about from the external
Okay.
side.
For external, you can use DNAT concept. See, in DNAT, we are mapping port numbers. Okay. We are mapping port number. If anyone will hit on public IP, request is for port number 443. Okay, on your firewall will redirect this traffic on web server always. You have a
Not
single public
any,
IP.
not any specific or any unassigned registered port number.
You can define your port number.
Okay.
In configuration, in entry, you can define your port number. You can in mapping, you can define all the things. Okay, your external public IP, external service port number, internal private IP, internal port number. You can define everything in configuration.
Okay.
Okay, now here we have one more challenge. Okay, here we have one more challenge. Challenge is what? Here, if I have multiple FTP server, then okay, this one is what? FTP server 1. If I have one more FTP server in my network, for example, this is FTP server 2, 192.168.10.14. This is FTP server 2, this is FTP server 1. So as per our DNet configuration, this public IP, everyone, and this port number is already mapped with this 10.13 for port number 21, right?
Yes.
This public IP and this port number is already mapped. So wait. Okay. Already mapped. See this public IP, this port number. If anyone from outside will hit onto this public IP address for FTP service, okay, public IP and standard port number for FTP is 21. So this public IP, this port number is already mapped with this 10.13 for port number 21. What about FTP2, everyone? Shoaib, clear my challenge? Akbar, Ahmed?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So now, if my point is, if I have multiple FTP server or if I have multiple web servers, then
See,
into
I
this
think
scenario, we can use port forwarding concept. What we can
specific
do?
port. Yes.
We can use, it's called DNAT with port forwarding. Port forwarding. In port forwarding, we can use any unregistered port number. For example, I'm using 8999. 8999. So as per my configuration, this public IP and this port number, I'm trying to map for this 10.14 for port number 21. But this is not a standard port number for FTP service, right? Akbar, Shoaib, Ahmed?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir. Yes, sir.
8999 is not a standard port number for FTP. For FTP, we have a standard port number 21, right? So this is what? This FTP2, my point is this FTP2 is for my special user. So what I can do, I can tell to my outside user. Guys, whenever you will hit onto this public IP address for FTP service, please hit with this port number 8999. Your outside users, they don't know anything. This traffic is going to redirect. This traffic will redirect on FTP1 or it will redirect on FTP2. They don't know anything. What they can do? Your outside user can open. See this outside, for example, this outside machine, he can open his FTP application. In FTP application, he can put this public IP address and he's using port number 8999 for FTP service. When traffic will go and hit onto this firewall device, your firewall will redirect this traffic on FTP2. Clear my point? Akbar,
Yes,
I can
sir.
show you in practical. This is not a theoretical concept. This is not a story. I can show
Okay,
you
sir.
how to redirect our traffic in practical. But clear this concept, clear this story.
Yes, sir.
Ahmed, Akbar, Shoaib.
Sir, in the destination port, how the user will change the 21 with the 8999?
See, user will not change anything from outside, okay?
Hmm.
This is your internal server.
Hmm.
On internal server, you are using IP address 10.14 and port number 21. It means what? It's a FTP service.
Okay.
It's the FTP server.
Okay.
Okay, what you can do on your firewall? See, FTP server is ready. IP address port number 21 is ready. As a firewall administrator, you can redirect your traffic.
Okay.
Okay, your responsibility is for you can redirect your traffic. How to configure FTP server? How to work with FTP server? This is not our task, right? Our task is if anyone from outside will hit onto this public IP address for FTP service with port number 8999, as per my configuration, as per firewall administrator configuration, this traffic will redirect on FTP.
Okay. This will be the destination port number for the outside users.
Yes, you can use
Okay.
any
Yes.
any port
Yes.
number, any unregistered port number.
Now clear,
Specific
sir.
port,
Thank you,
yes.
thank you.
Oh.
So, if any question, Akbar?
Oh,
How
sir,
many,
good.
like in port forwarding, right? How many unassigned, like unregistered port you could do there? Like multiple or just one
Can
port is
you
good for?
see? Can you tell me port number range? 1,265,535, right?
Oh, okay, I got it.
So 1025265,535. You can use any port number.
Okay.
Or register, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, so this is what this is called destination NAT, everyone. DNAT concept. Okay, let's go here. So in source NAT, we are translating our source IP address. In destination NAT, we can map. See, in destination NAT, traffic is initiated from outside. And see, in destination NAT, you can see this outside user will hit onto this public IP address. So for this outside machine, this IP address is a destination IP, and you are translating this destination IP. That's why it's called DNAT, destination NAT. So here we have source NAT and destination NAT. So static NAT, dynamic NAT, and PAT. These are called source NAT. And in Cisco, you can say destination NAT, or you can say static PAT. This is PAT, but this is called what? Dynamic PAT. This is called what? Dynamic PAT. But destination NAT is called static PAT. Clear my point, everyone?
Yes, sir. I think also in ASA. Destination
Yes,
now is called
ASA and in Cisco Firepower, it's the same.
Yes.
It's the same.
Yes.
So, have any question, Akbar?
No, sir, no, sir.
Ahmed?
Clear.
Thank you. No, sir.
Now, let's talk about NAT implementation in Cisco Firepower. In Cisco ASA, you can configure your source NAT, destination NAT, no problem. But in Cisco Firepower, we have two type of NAT here. We can go with manual NAT and we can go with auto NAT. So we have two type of NAT configuration. What is manual NAT and what is auto NAT? See, for example, our static NAT, static PAT. What is a static PAT, everyone? Remember?
Is DNAT.
DNAT, okay.
Yes.
Now, or what auto NAT? Dynamic NAT. So dynamic NAT and dynamic PAT. So don't confuse, okay? It's a same concept, but in Cisco Firepower, you can say manual NAT implementation and auto NAT implementation. Manual NAT, it's called in manual NAT, you can go with static NAT, static PAT. In auto NAT, dynamic NAT, dynamic PAT. Clear my point?
Yes, sir.
Why we need manual NAT and auto NAT? So there is a difference. There is a difference in between manual NAT and auto NAT. What is the difference? Wait, let me show you here. Wait. Let's go on to the configuration. So if you click, if you want to configure NAT option, okay, you can click on device, you can click on NAT. You can click on NAT. You can click on, see here we can add our device. So threat defense NAT policy, you can click. You can give a name. For example, this is I have a single FTD. So FTD1-NAT. Yes, this is device. So you can add your device. I want to implement this NAT policy package on FTD1. You can click on save. So this is policy package name FTD1-NAT. And here you can create your NAT rule. Here you can create your NAT rule. If you click on add NAT rule, you can see here we have two options, manual and auto. If you select manual, for example, if you select manual, you can see, wait. Okay, so if you select manual, in manual, we have type static and dynamic. So in manual NAT, let's go here again. So in manual NAT, we can go with static and dynamic. So what is a static? In static, we have two options, static NAT and static PAT. Clear my point, everyone?
Yes, sir.
And in dynamic, again, we have two options in dynamic. Dynamic NAT, dynamic PAT. This is manual NAT. Same. Here we have what? Auto NAT, NAT concept. In auto NAT, we have same concept. Concept is what? Static and dynamic. Okay, if you go here, if you verify configuration in manual NAT, you can go with static, you can go with dynamic. If you select auto NAT, you can configure static and you can configure dynamic. Now, what is the difference in between manual NAT and auto NAT? See, these options, see, we are, everyone, we are familiar with these concepts, right? Static NAT, static PAT, dynamic NAT, dynamic PAT, and these configuration, these options we can use. These options we can use through manual NAT configuration or we can do with auto NAT. But we are familiar, right, everyone? What is
Yes.
static NAT? One-to-one mapping. What is static PAT? Destination NAT. Dynamic NAT, we can create a range of public IP. Dynamic PAT, see, in dynamic NAT, we can create a range of public IP. In dynamic PAT, we can translate multiple private IP addresses with single public IP. Clear my point? Soeb, Akbar,
Yes, yes.
Ahmad?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
It's not complicated, okay? It's simple.
Okay.
Now, my point is what? What is the difference? See, these options we can implement. We can implement through manual NAT or we can implement through auto NAT. But what is the difference in between manual NAT, where we can use manual NAT, where we can use auto NAT? So you can see here, if you go here, practically you can check here, see, if I'm using manual NAT option, for example, if I'm using manual NAT option, so you can see, wait, in manual NAT, what you can define your interface object like source interface, like LAN interface, WAN interface. If you click on translation, in translation, you can define your original packet. In original packet, you can define original source, original destination. For example, okay, 192.168.10.10 is trying to access original destination 8.8.8, original source port number, original destination port number. So in manual NAT, you can check your source IP, destination IP, okay, original source port number, destination port number, then you can go for translation. Clear my point, Ahmed, Akbar, Soeb?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In manual NAT, we can check, we can match, you can say, we can match our source IP, destination IP, source port number, destination port number, then we can do our translation. But if you select, for example, if you select what? AutoNAT. If you select AutoNAT, you can see if you select AutoNAT, everyone,
So
what
no
we can
destination.
match?
Okay.
Only source, only the source.
Exactly.
Mhm.
This is the difference, everyone. Clear my point?
So,
So-
you mean in
Yes.
the manual NAT, you will do translation based on the source IP and destination IP.
Yes. If you want to match, Ahmad, okay?
Yes.
For
yes.
example, if you want to check source and destination IP both, after that you want to do translation.
Mhm.
So you can go with manual NAT.
But
In
AutoNAT,
AutoNAT, you can only match your source IP. That's it. If this
specific source.
particular source, if this particular source network is trying to travel outside you, I want to do translation.
Okay.
Clear my point?
Yes.
I hope, Akbar, clear for you. What is the
Yes, sir.
difference in between manual NAT and AutoNAT?
Yes,
Everyone,
sir.
can we take a break for 5 minutes only?
Yes. Sure, sir. Sure.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Please turn off your mic. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Ahmed, Akbar, Shoaib,
Yes, sir.
Akbar, Shoaib. Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm
Sir,
getting.
yes, yes,
Now
yes.
let's continue our topic now. Wait. So if I'm trying to initiate my traffic from LAN machine, no, I'm not getting reply. Okay. I have a proper IP address configuration. Okay. Let's initiate other traffic. For example, let's try to access google.com. Okay. Google.com or facebook.com. So first I'm not getting reply. Okay. And I cannot access google.com or facebook.com here.
ചുമ്മാ
I cannot.
ചുളം കൊടുത്താ കുടിക്കുക
Akbar, please turn off your mic. Akbar,
പറഞ്ഞാ ഒന്ന് കേൾക്കാം.
so this, see everyone, this web page is not available. I cannot access google.com. I cannot ping google.com. See, I'm not getting reply. So let's create our NAT policy now. Okay. Let's create our NAT policy. So to create a NAT policy, you can click on add rule. You can click on add rule and now you can select your manual or auto option. Let's work with auto NAT first. Okay, everyone. Ahmed, Akbar, Shoaib. Let's go with auto NAT.
Yes, sir.
And in auto, let's go with dynamic option first. In dynamic option, okay, let's try to configure dynamic PAT and dynamic NAT. Okay, so what is our task? Our task is to implement auto NAT first. In auto NAT, we are talking about dynamic option. In dynamic option, dynamic PAT or dynamic PAT or dynamic NAT. Let's go with the dynamic PAT first. Okay, wait. So you can click on auto NAT rule. Type you can select. So I'm using dynamic option right now. So here in configuration, you can define your interface object, your traffic flow. So as per our configuration, as per our topology, you can say we are trying to allow our traffic from LAN to WAN side. Okay, so I think our LAN, let's check our LAN zone again. Wait. Device management. Our security zone is WAN-zone and LAN-zone. Okay, let's go on to the NAT option. NAT rule, add auto, and in auto dynamic option. Okay, so interface object traffic source is what? LAN zone. If and destination is WAN zone. So if traffic is coming from LAN zone, trying to go on WAN zone, translation. So yes, I have a source network. Let's create an object. I think we have an object. Wait, let's search LAN network. I think we have. Yes, from previous session. Remember our LAN object, LAN-network object.
Yes.
So if this LAN-network object is trying to, it means 200.200.0 network is trying to go outside. I want to translate. If you click here, you have two options, everyone. You have two options. You can go with destination interface. What is destination interface IP? So you can see in interface object, our destination interface is everyone.
Outgoing interface.
WAN zone, right? Akbar, Emma, Soeb.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, yes.
Our destination interface is WAN zone, and onto this WAN zone, or you can say onto this public facing interface, we are using, if you guys remember, we are using 172.10.130.211. Okay, so we are trying to translate. Let's go with the destination interface IP, or in case if you have a separate public IP. Okay, if you don't want to use your outgoing interface IP, your destination interface IP. So you can, if you have a separate public IP, so yes, you can use this option. Let's go with this option first, destination interface IP. You can click on OK. You can click on save. And now we can push our configuration. Let's deploy our configuration. So now this time we have security policy rule and NAT policy rule. Okay, so we can try to initiate our traffic again. Wait, this will take time.
Okay, I mean, you want to know.
Now status is complete, everyone. Okay, so my point is, let's verify NAT configuration. NAT configuration on Cisco Firepower. So can anyone help me for command to verify NAT configuration? Show run NAT, right?
Show Xlate.
No, show Xlate.
See, show Xlate for to verify
Translation.
translation.
Mhm,
Right now, I want to verify configuration first.
mhm.
Okay.
Okay, traffic is not traveling right now. Traffic is not traveling. I want to verify my configuration through CLI command. So remember our object LAN network. So you
Yes.
can see guys our configuration NAT if LAN subnet. Okay, so let's verify here as per our configuration. As per our configuration, if LAN subnet is trying to go outside, trying to access WAN subnet, and we are using what?
Dynamic.
We are using interface option. Now let's try to initiate our traffic, because this time we have a NAT policy and security access control policy. If I'm trying to ping google.com this time, I'm getting reply, right everyone? If I'm trying to refresh this page, I can access google.com. I can access, wait, it's a VM machine, so it's working slow. But you can see guys, we can access google.com. We can access, see, we can access facebook.com. Okay, we can ping google.com. We can ping 8.8.8. This time traffic is traveling. If traffic is traveling, and if you want to verify your connection table, big database, show connection table. In connection table, you can see all machines. Okay, wait, let's verify here IP address first. On interface, we have IP address 172.10.130.211, right? Let's verify our translation, show Xlate. So everyone, this 255 is translated with this 172.10.130.211. Clear my point?
Yes, sir.
Ahmed, Akbar, Zoeb.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can verify this connection entry in graphically. Okay, you can click on analysis, you can click on connection, you can in connection you can go with events. So connection events you can verify here. So Let's verify here. So you can see your first packet, last packet, date or time, action, allow or deny, initiator IP 200, 255, yes, 200, 200, 255 we are using onto this LAN machine. You can check. Okay, responder IP, ingress zone, egress zone, you can verify your Google information, application, some ICMP traffic information. Right now traffic is traveling. Okay, let's go into the policy, everyone. Wait, let's go into the policy. In policy, I'm creating a rule. Okay, wait, let's create a rule. Add rule. Okay, I'm giving a name, rule 2. Now, if traffic is coming from LAN zone, trying to go on WAN zone, network. So for network, this time I'm creating a object, range object, for example. Okay, so marketing hyphen team 5, object name, just a name. And now range is 200, 200, 200 dot 50 to 200, 200, 260. 10 IP address range object. I can attach this object, marketing hyphen team 5, add to the source. Now destination any VLAN tag. Okay, everything is any right now. And action I'm using block. So my point is, if marketing team is trying to access any destination, action I'm using block, and this rule I want to use on top. So insert, I want to insert this rule, not below. I want to insert this rule above the rule, above rule 1. What is rule 1? This is rule 1 ID. So I want to insert this rule above rule 1. So let's click on add, and this rule is on top. Everyone, right?
So no need to enable logging. It's a policy.
Logging, you can enable, no problem.
Yes.
To verify the login information, you can enable. You can click on login, log at beginning of connection. Yes, you can click on save. Clear this rule, everyone? Akbar, Ahmed, Shoaib.
Yes, sir.
This rule is on top. Let's save out this configuration. Okay, I'm trying to push this configuration. Wait. So as per this policy rule, 50 to 60 IP address is blocked to access any destination. But right now you can see this 55 machine can ping 8.8.8, can ping google.com, can access Google, right? Can access Facebook. Now again, I'm trying to initiate my traffic. Please wait, okay? This will take time. So as per our policy configuration, 50 to 60 cannot access. And onto this machine, I'm using 55. Shoaib, Akbar, Ahmed, 55. So 55 is a part of, is in between 50 to 60, right?
Yes.
So this time, if I'm trying to initiate my traffic, I cannot access as per our configuration, right? As per our discussion, I cannot, as per our rule. Okay, I cannot access. Let's try to initiate. Let's try to ping again google.com. Wait.
So just you can type
Yes.
ping minus t 8.8.8.
Yes, with hyphen T you can use.
Yes.
See, I cannot access. Akbar, Ahmed, Shoaib, see, I cannot access.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, let's close this. Okay, wait.
The rule is
If I'm
valid.
trying to access google.com this time or facebook.com, I cannot ping google.com. I cannot ping 8.8.8. No. And if you go and check in analysis, if you click on events, so in events you can get a log information. You can see this 55 is what? block, block. And now device FTD1, it's block. Okay, let's change IP address, for example, everyone. Let's change. Okay, ncpa.cpl, okay, IP address, I'm using this time 85, okay, 85. You can click on OK. So now you can check your IP address information again. IP config, I'm using 85. What do you think, Akbar, Soeb, Ahmad? What do you think now? Now IP address
It should-
changed.
It
Can I
should
access
ping,
now?
but let's check.
Can I access google.com? Is it possible now? Okay, let's go into the policy. Wait. Access control policy. As per our policy rule, if 50 to 60 is trying to access any destination, see, as per our rule, if marketing team is trying to access, if they are trying to access any destination, action is block. Now IP address change. IP address is what? 85. So if I'm trying to initiate my traffic, this 85 is not part of this rule. It's just like ACL, everyone.
But what about the rule, the sequence is going to go from top to bottom?
Yes, top
The
to bottom.
ACL?
Yes, I'm telling you, it's just like ACL. So
Okay.
just like ACL rule. If any traffic is going to hit onto the firewall device, it will always check from top to bottom.
Okay.
Okay, top to bottom. So it will first check this traffic information in top rule. If it is not match, if it is not available, it will go and check into the next rule, next rule, next rule, next rule. So this time, if I'm trying to initiate my traffic, this time if I'm trying to ping google.com, see, I
You're
can
pinging.
access.
Yep.
I can access Google, I can access Facebook, see, I can access google.com, I can ping Google, I can ping 8.8. Because this 85 is going to match here in rule 1. And into this rule, if complete LAN network is trying to access any destination, action is block. Ahmad, clear?
Yes, sir.
Akbar, Shoaib,
Yes,
Yes,
sir, it's
sir.
clear.
let's continue this topic tomorrow, everyone, okay?
Sir, I have a quick question.
Sure.
So in analysis, you select connection and then event. So is this event temporary or
It's a connection event.
no? It will be temporary after. Sometimes it will create
Yes,
or
yes,
delete.
it's a temporary. After some time, it will reach. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, let's continue this topic tomorrow, okay? It's not finished.
Okay. Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye,
Yes,
everyone.
sir.
Take care, guys. Good night.
Thank you.
Take
Have a
care.
good
Bye,
night.
everyone. Bye.